Yes, to our pro learners, I have sent the invite. Please join. Thank you for waiting, guys. Sorry for the delay due to a power cut. I hope you all can hear me.
Yes, sir.
Meera, Shubha, you all can hear me, right? Okay, yeah, thank you. So yes, the topic for today is some sentences, exercises on passive voice and active voice. As I had mentioned during the previous class that we have practiced passive and active voice in the past. This will be more of an exercise based topic where you'll have sentences. Before we look at the sentences, just a quick question. What is active voice and what is passive voice? If someone has to define, not an example, I'm asking what is the meaning of an active voice? Something conveyed in an active voice and something conveyed in a passive voice. Anyone?
Sir, sir, in active voice we say something in direct way,
Okay,
and passive voice we say in indirect way.
okay, thank you. Anyone else? Bhupinder, Shubha, sorry. What is the difference between active and passive voice? What is the meaning of active voice and what is passive voice? In terms of grammar, I'm looking at a grammatical explanation.
इन पैसिव वॉइस में काम किया जा किसी के द्वारा काम किया जाता है. एक्टिव वॉइस इज directly we can use present and future and past, but passive required the by being this.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's close enough. Shubha, what is active voice and what is passive voice? Can you hear me, Shubha? Are you there? Okay. If there's any issue, just try and just disconnect and reconnect. Okay. Yes. So as you all rightly mentioned, that active voice basically is nothing but when the subject of a sentence performs the verb's action. We say the sentence is in an active voice. Okay. So sentences in active voice basically have a strong and direct and clear tone. Okay. So again, when the subject of the sentence performs the verb's action. Okay, it's very important. The subject of a sentence, so the doer that we're talking about, okay, is in the active voice. Okay. Passive voice is sentence on the other hand where the subject is acted on by the verb. Simple. Okay. When the passive voice is basically when the subject is acted on by the verb. Okay. So as someone rightly mentioned that you are talking about words like, we gave an example, to be, right? So yes, is constructed from the conjugated form basically of to be, okay, plus the verb's past participle. Okay. So basically the subject is doing the action in the active voice, for a simple definition, and when the subject is acted upon by the verb. Okay. All right, let's start with the exercise. Yes, there are some questions on how you can join the class. Basically, you need to register as a pro learner, and if time permits, I will definitely explain how you can do that. Okay. If you have further questions, you can send an email to Hello English, okay, premium@helloenglish.com. Okay. Okay. So let's start, guys. I don't see. I see names on the chat, but I don't see all. Have joined the class. So I've sent the invite again to our pro learners. Please join. Okay. All right. Let's start. Bhupinder, go ahead. Read the first one. Read the sentence. Always read the sentence given on top and then give your answer. Okay.
I have kept all letters.
Right.
First one, all your letter have. Second one, all letter have been kept by me.
Read it again slowly. Thoda dheere padhiye.
Okay. The answer is last one. All letters have been kept by me.
That word is pronounced as old. Not all, old.
Old. Okay.
Yes, all your old letters have been kept by me. Correct. Absolutely right. As we discussed that the to be form, right? So here been, obviously the past participle of be has to be used here. Okay, good. Go ahead, Bhupinder, answer the second one as well.
They will send him to school. Uh, he will be sent to school.
He will be sent to school. Yeah, very good. Thank you. Sure. The
Answer is
transitive verb. Yeah, he will be sent to school. That's correct. Thank you. So basically, what we are talking about here in this case is the person, who performs the action is what we're talking about as an active form, and when is being acted upon or acted on, that's when you use the passive form. So transitive verb is very important. Transitive verbs are part of both active and passive voice. Okay, we'll look at some more examples and discuss that. Okay, I'm going a little slow since our learners are still joining. Okay, all right. Manju, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Good evening. Go ahead, read the next one, page 3.
Yes, sir. They clean the streets every day. The streets are cleaned every day.
Absolutely right. Correct. Very good. So see, the thing is about the tenses is always very important, that keep the tense the same, right? So that's why sometimes mistakes are also made in terms of not just the verb or in terms of the be form. However, there is always the tense that is sometimes, sometimes people, when they change from active to passive, the tense is sometimes, you can get the tense wrong. So it's very important to keep the tense same. Why? Because the time doesn't change. You are talking about what reference, what time is referred to. In this case, it's referred to the present context. They clean the streets every day. So again, we know that in terms of tenses, something that happens regularly, routine, we use the simple present tense. Okay, so the
Yes.
streets are cleaned every day. Yeah,
Thank you.
good. You're welcome. Go ahead, read the next one as well.
Ma'am, sir, I don't have next page.
Page 4.
Sir, update the slide.
Now,
I have seen page 3 only, not next.
okay, then you'll have to disconnect and reconnect. Your system is stuck on that page. Okay, just
Okay.
disconnect and reconnect. Okay.
Okay.
All right,
Thank
thank you. Jay, can you hear me? Jay has got disconnected. Soumya, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, read the next one. Page 4.
They will drive the visitors to the airport at 2 p.m. And the answer is the visitors will be driven to the airport at 2 p.m. But my wrong.
That's okay, no problem. Okay. So what we look at is a transitive verb always. Okay. So what can anyone tell me what is a transitive verb? When we talk about active, passive, transitive verbs are extremely important. So can someone tell me
Yes,
what is a
sir.
transitive verb?
Objective नहीं रहते हैं, I think.
I didn't hear you clearly.
Mean transitive verb means जिसमें objective नहीं रहते हैं.
रहते हैं, नहीं रहते नहीं, रहते हैं.
Sorry, रहते हैं.
Yeah, a transitive verb is a verb that requires a direct object. मतलब when we talk about doer and receiver in simple terms, okay, someone has to do something, someone has to receive something. So that transitive verb is important. I'm just giving you a simple explanation. Transitive verb is a verb that requires a direct object, which can be anything, a noun, pronoun, noun phrase, that follows the verb and completes the sentence meaning. That, in terms of what? Indicating that a person or the thing that receives the action of the verb. So that's why there are some sentences where we discussed in the last class as well, where some sentences are always in the passive voice, right? Or some sentence that you cannot change it to active. Why? Because that's how it is. But transitive verb, just to understand, is the verb that accepts one or more objects, basically, that requires a direct object. Without a direct object, it won't work, right? So we'll look at some more sentences and discuss that. Okay. All right. Yes, they will drive the visitors to the airport at 2 p.m. What is their answer? Will be driven. Yeah. Yeah. Right, good. Thank you. Soumya, go ahead, read the next one.
Somebody stole my passport and money. My passport and money were stolen. My passport and money were stolen.
Yeah. My passport and money were stolen. Absolutely right.
This is past passive.
That's correct. Thank you. Just give me a minute. Still adding our learners. Okay, yeah. Shima, can you hear me? Shima, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes,
Go ahead.
sir.
Read the next. Yeah. Go ahead. Read the next one.
Yeah. Sachin discovered gold in the mountains.
Mountains.
Yeah, mountains. Second one is correct. Gold was discovered in the mountains by Sachin.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. You see the tense. You cannot say gold has been discovered in the mountains by Sachin. Why? Because the sentence is in what tense? In the past tense. Okay. Simple past tense. Discovered gold in the mountains. Ho gaya hai. So that's why it cannot be in the present. The active to passive to active, the tense cannot change, right? So that's why the second one is correct. Well done. Good. Okay. Yeah, some of you probably selected the first one. Look at what tense it is. The first one is the sentence is in what tense, and then accordingly determine which is the passive form. Okay. Very good. Good answer. Go ahead, Shima. Read the next one.
May I, sir?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. People have sent expeditions to the Himalayas for years.
Yes, plural hai.
Yeah, yes. First one is correct. Expeditions have been sent to her Himalayas for years.
Yeah, very good. इसका मतलब क्या है इस सेंटेंस का?
अभियान दलों को हिमालय पर सालों से भेजा गया है.
Very good. आपने literal translation कर दिया. Good. So basically, yeah, that's correct. That's right. Basically, expeditions means a tour, a journey, right? So exploration, expedition is what it is. So here the sentence is not in terms of the simple present tense. Here, what we are talking about have been sent. So in the present perfect form, something that started in the past continues to be relevant in the present, right? So that's why this is an appropriate sentence. People have sent expeditions to the Himalayas for years. Expeditions have been sent to the Himalayas for years. Correct. Right.
Is any other words for expeditions?
Exploration, journey, voyage. These are all words for expedition. Okay.
Yeah,
but when we talk about mountains, when we talk about mountains, expedition is the right word to use. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. Let's continue. Abhay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Abhay, go ahead. Read the next one. Page 8. We are on page 8.
Yes, sir. An election is held by the USA every 4 years. An election is held by the USA every 4 years. Yes.
The USA holds an election every 4 years, is held. Absolutely. Good. Very good. Thank you. Go ahead, Abhay. Read the next one.
Sir, the level of gas should be checked.
One should check the level of gas. The level of gas should be checked by one. absolutely. Should be checked. Actually, the second, yeah, which one did you select? Abhay? First or second?
Second, sir.
Second is correct. See, the first one, guys, when you say one should, this is when do we use statements like these? One should, someone should, everyone, you know. So these are words that can be omitted when you change it into passive form, because this is like in a general sense. It does not mention a person. Let's say if it was, let's say, some example, let's say Abhay should check the level of gas. Then yes, you need to mention the name of a person, right? But here in this case, you don't need to. So that's why one is, you can omit that because it's understood. It's a vague thing, right? So a vague pronoun, basically, someone that is not, you don't have a name attached to it. So in this case, you can omit that. So the second one is obviously appropriate. Anyone has any doubt about this? Why not the first one? Why the second one?
Yes,
No,
sir. First I
sir.
chosen first one, but now I got it.
Yeah, okay, good, thank you. Yes, so because, it's like a vague pronoun where we don't know who the person is. In the passive form, it's not necessary because anyway, the sentence is not directed at someone. It's a general statement. So the level of gas should be checked. Okay, good. Thank you. Ankita, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead, read the next one. First, read the sentence given on top and then give your answer. Okay.
The government will release a number of political prisoners.
Prisoners,
A number
plural.
of political prisoners will be released by the government.
Read it again. It's
Prisoners.
plural. Prisoners. Okay.
A
Yeah, very
number
good.
of political prisoners will be released by the government.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely right. Okay.
Sir, prisoners mean kaidi.
Kaidi. Yes, that's correct. Kaidi. Political prisoner. Political prisoners can be, the ones who've crossed the border, gone into another territory. Okay. Just give me a minute. Ankita, go ahead, read the next one.
Once a week, Ram cleans the house. The house is cleaned by Ram once a week.
Okay. Yeah, it's fine. The house is cleaned by Ram once a week. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I'm sorry, mistakenly selected the second one. The person mentioned, so the house is cleaned by Ram once a week. Correct. So the person is mentioned here in terms of the object. Yeah, direct. So the transitive verb will take action. Okay. Mukesh, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, read the next one. Page 12. We are on page 12.
Sam repaired the car. The car was repaired by Ram.
Very good. If in place of Sam here, if it was just mentioned, someone repaired the car. If it was someone repaired the car, then the sentence could have been the car was repaired. Then by someone, the vague pronoun, you need not use it in the passive form, but here obviously a person's name is mentioned here, so you need to use it. The car was repaired by, yeah, it's Sam and Ram. The names are incorrect, but that's okay. We understand the meaning. Go ahead, Mukesh, read the next one. Mukesh, you are on mute. Go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pooja is going to make dinner tonight. Dinner is going to be made by Pooja.
Yeah, exactly. Dinner is going to be made by Pooja. Good.
Made by Pooja tonight.
Tonight, yeah. See, here it's important to use tonight. You'll need to, because the time is mentioned, exact date, time is mentioned. So you need to use it. Okay. Balaji, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Go ahead. Read the next one.
The dish will be washed by Nega.
What is the sentence given on top? Neha
Just
will
a minute, sir.
wash. Yeah.
The
that's okay.
Nega
Neha
will wash
wash.
the dishes. Wash the dishes. And the answer is the dishes will be washed by Nega.
Yeah, correct. Absolutely. Good. Go ahead. Read the next one.
The mom read the novel in a day. The novel was read by mom in a day.
Read. Mom read the novel in a day. Okay. So the novel was read by mom
Yeah,
in a day.
was read by.
The sentence is already in the past tense, right? It's in the past form. So the novel was
Yes,
read. The passive, it becomes clear that it was
read,
in the past,
read by
right?
mom.
Yeah.
Okay.
एक ही दिन में किताब पढ़ ली थी. That is what the meaning of the sentence. Okay. All right. Meera, go ahead. Read the next one.
They called off the meeting. The meeting was called off.
Very good. Here you say you don't need. They called off the meeting. The meeting was called off by them. Not needed. It's understood. Even if you want to use it, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's understood.
Okay.
The meeting was called off.
Yes, sir.
If the sentence was the management called off the meeting, then you would have to use it. The meeting was called off by the management. Then you need to, yeah. But here it's understood. They again used as a vague pronoun. We don't know who they are basically. Okay. Go ahead. Read the next one.
His grandmother looked after him. He was looked after by his grandmother.
Good.
Second one, sir.
Good. His grandmother looked after him. He was looked after by his grandmother. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Shubha, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Shubha, go ahead. Read the next one.
Second one, sir. Yesterday, my parents arrived at the airport.
First, read the sentence given on top.
Okay, sir. My parents arrived at the airport yesterday.
Arrived. Arrived is how we
Yesterday,
pronounce.
my parents.
Not arrived.
Arrived.
Arrived. Yes. That's correct.
Arrived.
Yes. Okay.
Sir, how it is correct?
What is wrong with the sentence?
Sir, my parents arrived at the airport yesterday. So yesterday, my parents arrived at the airport. So
You just rephrase the
बस
sentence.
change किया गया है sentence को.
No, it's not changed. You're right. It's not. It's basically it stays in the same form.
वही तो
So
same form है.
yeah, exactly. It's just that they've rephrased the sentence. That's it. That's correct. I was going to come to that. Give me a minute. I will come to that. Okay. So next point of discussion is, okay, when we spoke about the transitive verb, right? Just give me a minute. I need to just quickly. Just give me a minute, guys. Okay. Yes. So this sentence is in what? The sentence is in what form? Is it active or passive?
Sir, I think this sentence is already passive form.
Okay. Anyone else thinks the other way around? Why do you think that the sentence is in passive?
Yes, sir, passive, because use here third form, arrived.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is the answer given in?
Sir, active form.
Yes, sir.
होना चाहिए, I think.
Sir, this sentence passive because no direct subject, sir.
Very good. So the sentence is not actually changed, right? It's basically, yeah, it's basically just rephrase the sentence using yesterday before. Yesterday my parents arrived at the airport. My parents arrived at the airport yesterday. Why you cannot change this into active?
Sorry, sir.
Yeah, I was asking why you cannot change this sentence into active.
Sir, this sentence is sir. This is in active voice, sir. पहुंचे थे.
Look at the sentence again. Read the sentence again.
My parents arrived at the airport yesterday.
Okay, thank you. Abhay, what was your explanation? Sorry, can you repeat what you mentioned? Abhay, I want you to repeat what you mentioned a while ago.
Sir, I want to say, sir, in this sentence, not a direct subject.
Receiver की बात करो. There's no, yeah. So what?
Yes,
No
sir.
any here.
Exactly,
Okay,
exactly.
sir.
So the
Okay.
direct object basically. All right. So the point that I made earlier, in terms of the transitive, active sentences, the intransitive sentences is what we are referring to in this case. I'll give you some more examples and then look at the sentence again. Okay. Let's say, for example, if I make a sentence like simple, okay, simple sentence. He writes a letter. Okay. In this sentence is in what voice?
Sir, here is no
Active.
object. Sir.
Guys, one person. Yeah.
Yes.
Allow one person. to
Active
complete.
voice.
It is active voice, I think.
If you want to change it to passive, what will it become?
Object, sir, necessary.
A
Give me-
letter is written by him.
Yes, sir.
You can change it. Yeah, very good. Let's say, for example, second sentence. I will give you another example. Give me a minute. Okay, let's say. He reached his home. Okay. He reached his home. This particular sentence is in what voice?
This is a passive voice,
This
sir.
is passive voice, sir.
You sure?
Passive voice.
You sure?
Because this no someone say no direct no
No.
this.
No. Look at the sentence. The reason I said this
Sir,
is
past active. Okay.
act. So, and what is the sentence given here? My parents.
Arrived at the airport
Right.
yesterday.
So now tell me what voice is the sentence in?
I think first one is right. My parents were
Active
arrived.
voice. Yeah, active. Basically, you cannot. Okay, so this particular sentence that I said, he reached his home. Can you change the sentence into passive?
He reached his home.
Yeah, he reached his home. Can you change the sentence into passive?
He reached his home.
I said, can you change the sentence into passive voice? The sentence is an active voice. We understand that. We all agree. I'm asking, can we change the sentence into passive?
Okay, sir.
Can we or we cannot?
Cannot, sir.
Yeah,
We cannot.
Exactly. We cannot. Why?
Because here is no object, sir.
Absolutely right. Similarly, my parents arrived at the airport yesterday. It's the same thing. So when there are, so the point that I was trying to, make is that in order, sometimes what happens is there are extra words given. Okay, there are extra words, there are words like this. Yesterday is mentioned here, right? So there are sometimes extra words given. So there are adverbs given, which will confuse you. Okay. However, you cannot. Why? Because there is not a direct object, as someone rightly mentioned. There is not an object. So you cannot change it. Like, for example, he is, let's say my sentence, one more sentence. Let's say he is sleeping on the floor, okay, or on the bed, whatever you want to say. Okay. this again. Here, there is again no direct object. Yes, absolutely. So these are sentences. So this is just the point that I was making, is that do not get confused if there are some extra words added or some adverbs of place, etc. added. Do not get confused. Why? Because the important thing to make note of is the point that we discussed at the start of the topic, is that the object is of utmost importance when we look at the active and the passive voice. Okay, so these sentences will always be in the active voice. You cannot change these into passive voice. Okay, like for example, sorry, someone was asking something.
Yes, sir. I have a little doubt, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, if I can't change this sentence, so why you use here yesterday first? It is necessary.
वो बताने के लिए, एम्फसाइज करने के लिए कि कब आए थे वो यूज किया है, बताया है. So yeah, you may or may not, but the speaker intends to tell when did the person arrive, right? So yesterday is what? It's an adverb, right? That's used here, right? So yeah, so that's why, as I mentioned, that there are sometimes extra words. So basically, my parents arrived at the airport yesterday. Yesterday, my parents arrived at the airport. The meaning is the same. It's just that the speaker is telling you when did this happen, when did this action happen. You may or may not include, it's okay. My parents arrived at the airport, it's fine. If you want to just make that sentence, it's okay. But the speaker wants to inform when did they arrive. So that's why. So if he wants to emphasize on the fact that they arrived yesterday, then you can use it at the start to emphasize, zor dalne ke liye, yesterday my parents arrived at the airport. That's the difference.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
I understand.
Yeah, it's just rephrasing the sentence. That's it. So do not get confused. There are sentences like, can one person give me a sentence in present perfect continuous tense? Any sentence, present perfect continuous.
He has been playing cricket since morning.
I have been living.
Sir, I have sentence.
Yeah,
I
go
have
ahead.
been in Delhi
Sir.
for 14 years.
I have been working for 3 years.
Fair enough. Thank you. So this particular sentence, can you change the sentence into passive? Can you change this? You can rephrase the sentence, right? The first sentence that was mentioned, right? For example, he has been playing cricket since morning. Okay. You can just rephrase the sentence saying since morning, but yeah, the better way of saying this is this, right? So again, there's no transitive in terms of object. There's no object here, so that's why you cannot change the sentence.
Sir, but we can use cricket
Yes, sir.
How
This
can
is
how?
not.
object as an object.
But आप sentence नहीं बना पाओगे ना? Sentence कैसे बनाओगे?
Sir,
Sir,
cricket
present
been
present
played
perfect.
by him.
Let her complete. Yeah, sorry. Cricket.
Cricket has been played by him since morning.
You are rephrasing the sentence. It does not change in essence. So cricket has been played नहीं होगा ना, playing है.
Yes, sir.
Cannot change it. So these are sentences. So basically the point that I was trying to make is that present perfect continuous, similarly past perfect continuous, you cannot change into passive. And similarly, future continuous tense and future perfect continuous tense, you cannot change it into passive voice, right? So basically it means that these do not have transitive verbs, they have intransitive verbs. Basically there's no object here, right? So you can rephrase the sentence, but then you can say the sentence in different ways. But if your sentence is essentially in the perfect continuous tenses, then you cannot change the sentence into passive voice because of the intransitive verb that is in action. Let me ask you all a couple of other questions here in terms of the active voice. Okay, let's give me a minute. So when I say transitive verb, we understand that are not just verbs that can take an object, they demand object. Basically, they need objects. Okay. So for example, without the object to effort, the sentence basically will not seem complete. Okay. So let's say, for example, if I give you this sentence, okay, the girls carry water to their village. Okay. What voice is this sentence in?
Active voice.
Okay. So here in this case, who is the doer and who is the receiver? The subject and the object.
Sir, please repeat again.
The sentence is the girls carry water to their village. This is the sentence. Okay.
Girls is subject, and their
Subject
village.
is not there.
The village. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. So that's some sound in the background. Yeah. So the way in which you can identify the transitive verbs is basically the transitive verbs basically have an object. Okay. And intransitive verbs is the opposite of transitive verb. Basically, they do not require an object to act upon. Like the example that I gave. One more example I'll give you. A light was shining. Okay. A light was shining. This particular sentence has an intransitive verb. You don't need an object here. Was shining on something is not mentioned here. He was singing, for example. Okay. The dog ran. Okay. Or the dog barked, for example. Okay. There's no object here in this sentences. So basically, that's why we call that intransitive verb. So transitive verb and intransitive verb. When you get time, in your free time, just practice this along with the active and passive voice. We discussed the basic sentences today. We might have another topic on active and passive voice, which might probably include sentences that are a little more complex than this one, than the ones mentioned here. This was a bit basic to start with, because the topic that I'd done, the active and passive voice in with our other learners, was a while ago. So this was just to introduce the topic to you all. And that's why there was no explanation. It's just the exercise, because we've done the topic which includes the explanation. But on the app, okay, on the Hello English app, I want everyone, I want each of you to search that topic, active and passive voice. Not this one. This is an exercise-based topic. I want you all to do the topic that some of you might have been a part of that session, which includes explanations as well. Okay, I've tried to give you the explanations, and you all have also given your understanding of both the voices, which is good. But what I've done is a basic explanation is what we've discussed. But I want you all to look up that particular topic and practice it in your free time. Okay, so the active and passive voice, there's probably one or two more topics on the app. Okay, do search that, because some of you just recently joined might not have been a part of that class. So active voice and passive voice, extremely important in terms of grammar. And please, as I mentioned, do not get confused with the additional words, with the adverbs. There are some sentences that you cannot absolutely change it into passive voice. Okay, let's look at one or two more examples that I want to ask you all. Guys, please be on mute. There's some sound in the background. Thank you. Yeah. So give me a minute. Now, tell me, this particular sentence is in what voice? Okay. Let's say, Sam has been asked to make a speech at the meeting. What voice is this in? Sam has been asked to make a speech at the meeting. What voice is this in?
Passive.
Good, very good.
Passive voice.
Can you change the sentence into active?
No, sir. I think this tense we can't change.
Can't change. Yeah, very good. Very good. Why you cannot change this?
Because I think this is a past perfect continuous tense. So that's why I can't change.
Present has been asked. Present perfect continuous.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect continuous tense.
See, there are some verbs that are frequently used in the passive are followed by the to infinitive, to. Okay, asked to, supposed to, expected to, invited to, told to. Okay, I've been told to, he has been told to. Okay, be allowed to. Okay, so these are the verbs which are frequently used in the passive, which are followed by the to infinitive. Okay, one more example that I want to give you all, probably similar sentence. Let's say you are supposed to wear a tie, or you are supposed to wear a uniform. Okay, again, the to infinitive, we know the to infinitive, right? The verb basically to wear, to make. Okay? So these are the ones which are always used in the passive form. Okay, let's say we also have sentences that have phrasal verbs. Okay, so let's say, can someone give me a sentence with called off? Called off, the phrasal verb called off, to cancel, basically. Give me a
That
sentence with, yeah.
the strike will be called off on Monday.
Okay, yeah, very good.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Thank you.
Very good. So that again, yeah, that's with the phrasal verb called off, right? One more, let's say, give me a sentence with looked after. There was a sentence that we probably discussed here.
Sir,
He
I
looked
look after all safety issues at
No,
site.
looked after. In the past, I specifically you said looked after.
I look after safety issue at site.
Okay, ये आपने अभी current form में दिया है.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
I'm talking about in terms of passive in the past. So let's say I
see.
looked after.
Okay.
Okay, I looked
Okay.
after the safety measures at the site. Okay, that's fine. You can say that. That's okay. Okay. Or let's say if I make a sentence, he was looked after.
Sir,
Yeah.
her grandparents was looked after by his grandson.
Sentence बहुत complicated है. I didn't understand the meaning. Who is looking after whom?
सर मतलब उसके मतलब दादा की सेवा पोता करता था उस हिसाब से सर लाइक
You mean to just give me a minute.
grandchild sir
Abhay,
grandparents
yeah. Who is looking after whom? He is looking after his grandparents. That's what you mean to say?
sir grandson looked after her grandparents sir so
his grandparents. Okay.
Yes, yeah.
His, not her. Yeah.
His grandparents was looked after by his grandson.
You cannot use a sentence like that.
Okay, sir.
Yeah,
Then?
you cannot use a sentence like that. You can say. Okay.
He was आएगा ना sir.
Give me a minute. His grandparents were looked after by him. Okay. By him. See, you don't need to use grandson because it's understood. His grandparents, matlab he is the grandson. So you don't need to use that in the sentence.
By
so his grandparents were looked after by him. It's correct. Yeah, that is correct. So basically what you mean to say is he was looking after his grandparents. So the moment you say that, it is understood that he is the grandson. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yeah, good. So that is a good sentence. So these are the sentences that, so please do practice it. We'll do the active and the passive voice again. And, in terms of changing from the assertive to passive, negative to passive, we'll do that again next time. So this was just a basic topic just to introduce, the topic. And most of there were sentences which were directly, we did the exercise directly. So please, I want you all to search the topic active and passive voice. Okay. There actually, I remember. So the topics will be separate topics. There will be one topic which is on active voice and there will be one topic which is on passive voice. They will not be together. So you'll find a detailed explanation. So do search it individually. Okay. Active voice and then passive voice. You'll find the topic on the app. Okay. And do practice it in your free time. We will definitely discuss this topic in detail next time. So this was just to give you all a basic understanding of it. So please remember, do not get confused with certain sentences because there are extra words. There are, additional adverbs given. There are words, there are sentences that cannot be changed into passive. There are sentences that cannot be changed into active. Okay. Just remember the transitive and the intransitive verb that we spoke about in terms of the voice. Okay. So thank you very much, guys. Well done. Good answers. You're welcome. Thank you. And good answers, good explanation. And I will see you guys tomorrow in the afternoon at 4 p.m. Okay. Thank you very much. Take care. Right. Have a nice evening. Thank you.